All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot going on in the world of politics. We're going to go around a few big stories that the mainstream media is totally avoiding. We have to talk about what's happening at the border because I got some big news coming from Oscar L. Blue about the border right now. We got to talk about Rand Paul. We got to talk about the military and Donald Trump. We have to talk about Russia and Ukraine, things developing right now overall. So let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Smash the like button. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Right now, a huge caravan of people are literally rushing over to the United States of America. Now, we know Trump is supposed to be taking office on January 20th, and boy, oh boy, are things going to get crazier than we thought. Now, I told you guys, the mass deportation, I told you guys it's going to be the hardest thing that's going to happen. This is going to be this is a dream for the mainstream media right here. The mainstream media can't wait for Trump and mass deportations to begin happening because they're gonna have a field day with this. Now, I got this breaking report from Oscar L. Blue. I'm gonna let him report it, and then we'll get right to it.
Breaking last-minute information coming in from south border of Tapachula, Chiapas. Another caravan just left the south border. The quantity is around 1,500 migrants that they left the south border of Tapachula, Chiapas in direction to the United States of America. As migrants know.
So all of these people are headed to the United States of America. What is influencing them to try to come here right before Trump takes office? They're literally rushing to the United States of America.
To the United States of America, as migrants know that in the 20th of January of 2025, Donald Trump will become the next president of the United States of America. They are trying to make a run for it before Joe Biden leaves the administration of presidency. As migrants continue to walk on the south border in Mexico, as they know that entering the new administration, the possibilities for them to continue and to stay in the United States of America are slim, and that the mass deportation will start as soon as the next administration comes into office. This is the collateral damage of the Biden-Harris-Mayorkas administration and the bad policies that they had implemented under 4 years of this total catastrophe and chaos in a crisis.
So we have this administration legitimately approving missiles coming from NATO, which is the United States, NATO, into Russia, right? We got to talk about that. So Joe Biden is legitimately, and we have this, a huge caravan of people heading to the United States of America. You guys can't hear me? Somebody says I can't. You guys can't hear me. I want to make sure you guys can hear me, and we're good to go here. So we literally, like, what they're doing is they're setting up Trump for the biggest mess possible. Could this be it? Because this is getting crazy. I mean,
that has continued and continued and continued until this point. The Trump effect. It is immediately acting as migrants know that entering the year 2025, it is not going to continue anymore. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Stay safe.
So yeah, these are the videos and people crossing the border right before Trump takes office. So we already know that's going to be havoc. Things are gonna get crazy, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna be seeing some crazy things happening overseas, Ukraine, Israel. Like, things are just beginning to look. It felt like everything was going good, right? Like, you know, the Trump effect was good, but out of nowhere, it's just a turn of events I never thought I'd see. Like, are we going to? Obviously, I believe we're gonna make it to January 20th, right, with Trump inauguration, but is the mess going to be so crazy that things are just not going to be resolvable in 4 years, right? We literally just had the murder of Laken Riley, right? This is what just happened today. Take a listen, guys.
1, malice murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 3, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 4, felony murder. I find the defendant guilty. Count 5, kidnapping with bodily injury. I find the defendant guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault with intent to rape. I find the defendant guilty. Count 7, aggravated battery. I find the defendant guilty. Count 8, obstructing or hindering a 911 call. I find the defendant guilty. Count 9, tampering with evidence. I find the defendant guilty. Count 10, peeping Tom. I find the defendant guilty.
So he's guilty. We already knew this, right? He's guilty on all 10 charges. Laken's family was in the room. Donald J. Trump says justice for Laken Riley, the illegal who killed our beloved Laken Riley, was just found guilty on all counts for his horrific crimes. Although the pain and heartbreak will last forever, hopefully this can help bring some peace and closure to the wonderful family who fought for justice, and to ensure that other families don't have to go through what they have. We love you, Laken, and our hearts will always be with you. It is time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this can happen again. Now, once again, we have this. So somebody in the comments said sabotage. They're sabotaging this. And what's crazy about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that ABC legitimately they did this after after finding Laken Riley's murderer guilty. Watch what they did on the air.
This death of Laken Riley and the subsequent trial has essentially been a massive political lightning rod here in this country. And you said it there yourself, the president-elect campaigning on the death of Laken Riley and pointing to the current administration, saying that their laws and what they're calling failed policies contributed to Laken Riley's death. I want to remind you that Ibarra entered this country illegally in 2022, according to law enforcement officials, and he was paroled and released for further processing by ICE. And since that time he entered the country, he was arrested another time. Law enforcement officers saying that he was arrested in 2023 in New York City and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17, as well as a motor vehicle violation. But it's important to note that although...
But what's the but, ABC? What's the but on this? There is no but. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media doing what the mainstream media does best.
Vehicle violation. But it's important to note that although there is very little evidence indicating a connection between immigration and violent crime, this is still something the President-elect Trump, several Republicans on the Hill wanted to essentially plant their flag on and point that to the current Biden administration. And we saw that even as early as President Biden's latest State of the Union address, where Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene infamously interrupted President Biden, forcing him to acknowledge that
this is a bad hill to die on. This is the hill that Democrats are dying on.
Death of Laken Riley, something that President Biden did by holding up a pin in her during that State of the Union. But it is important to note that all of this vitriol that we're hearing from Republicans and President-elect Trump regarding the policies of the Biden administration, it's important to know that President-elect Trump did force Republicans to essentially tank a bipartisan border security bill that both sides of the aisle said would have essentially addressed border security and immigration issues, Kira. This
is Trump's fault. Mind you, they never mentioned what was in that bill and what that bill was going to allow at the border, with 2,500 people being led into the United States of America to seek asylum without being vetted. They never talk about the money that bill was also going to attribute to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan. They never tell you what that bill was really about. They just tell you it was a border bipartisan bill. And I believe this is why they lost. This is why they lost so bad. This is why they lost. Anyways, so we're going to continue on this, and then we're going to go to war. We're going to go to Ukraine and, of course, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. But before that, I want to show you what Rand Paul is saying about the military, because now, once again, we just saw a whole bunch of people that are going to be coming into this country. They're going to be let in, unvetted, right, seeking asylum, and we don't know who's coming in. We don't know what the hell is going on anymore as far as that goes until Trump gets in office. But here's Rand Paul saying to Trump, don't use the military. Take a listen.
The stories all said he would declare an emergency to use the military to remove people.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. You guys can't hear it. I'm gonna provide some sound real quick. Smash the like button.
The stories all said he would declare an emergency to use the military to remove people. I'm not for that. I'm not for really most presidential emergencies because they smack of martial rule. They smack of no congressional approval. They smack of no checks and balances. So look, I'm supportive of President Trump. I'm supportive of removing people illegally here, particularly people who've committed crimes. But I'm not for the army marching up and down our streets. I think it's a terrible image to send the world. It's a terrible image for us as citizens. And so I hope he will think twice about trying to use an emergency edict to have the army patrolling our country.
I understand that. I also just, I look logistically. It's like, I mean,
should Donald J. Trump use the military for mass deportations? Once again, I'm not even trying to be negative, but it's going to be one of the hardest things. People in the United States of America will not stomach. I'm telling you, man, liberals they're not going to stomach this. This is going to be one of those, I don't know. Let's keep going.
We just let 20 million people or 50 million people into the country, which is just pure insanity. So I can understand why there's this, why some people maybe feel that there's a need for a drastic measure like that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to drastic measures. I'm not opposed to going all in for this, but I would do it in stages. The American people will be behind him 100% if he goes immediately after the people that have committed crimes, the people who've been released from prisons in Venezuela, the bad people that have been admitted to this country. Let's go there and start there. There is, to my mind, some question of the people, the housekeeper who's been here 30 years, and I don't see the military putting her in handcuffs and marching her down the street to an encampment. I don't really want to see that. I would like to see something where, and I don't think that person should get to vote either. So I think that person, there might be an in-between solution where if they're already working productively, that we allow them to have a work permit. So I would expand actually a lot of the idea of work permits for people, but they don't get rewarded with voting. And I really think us as conservatives who are supportive of Trump need to caution him about sending the army into our cities.
What do you guys think about that? Something that he said here that you disagree with, please comment down below. I agree with him to a certain extent as far as the military and how that's going to look, because I would never want Joe Biden to use the military in that fashion. But that's just something that we got to really, really talk about. Criminals first. Some people would say they're all criminals. So once again, very serious conversation to have about that. I'm gonna be honest. All right, here we go. So so once again, please let me know how you guys feel about that. Comment down below. Let's keep going. I want to keep the show going real quick. So I want to talk about how serious things are getting between NATO and Russia. Take a listen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are confronting a chilling reality, I think, in the United States. You know, yesterday when we were covering this, or at least the buildup of this, someone left a comment here on our channel that said, I don't think 90% of the people in the United States understand how severely bad this is for the United States right now. I think you're absolutely right about that. I think most people are just kind of living their lives. They don't realize what these masterminds, these warmongers, these criminals are doing right now in Washington, D.C., leading us into war.
So once again, we literally have warmongers, and we literally have so many crazy things happening. And this is what I mean. Like, this is just, if there's going to be somebody that does it, I think it's going to be Trump. But this is becoming a mess. Like, it's becoming pretty crazy. Somebody says, send them all back. Doesn't matter. Sure. Right. That's a great mentality to have. when you don't have an actual plan. Like, you need an actual plan for this, because the rest of America doesn't agree. Like, we don't all agree on everything. So sending the military in, that's going to be something big. It's going to be something that's going to cause havoc in the United States of America. I think if there's ever going to be civil chaos, it'll be that. Like, there's a lot of predictions that people made about there's going to be, and I hate to use this civil war thing, but man, liberals are going to die on that hill, bro. And it's going to be crazy to see the military start to march in, and then like liberals are outside just fighting the military. And then it's just going to be hell on earth, hell on the United States of America. I'm just saying, like, am I crazy to think that that's the picture, that the first thing that comes to my mind are all the liberals that legitimate, like, I'm telling you, people are looking for a reason to crash out. Like, they're looking for a reason to crash out. And I think the trap is being set here. And I'm not sure if we're paying as close of attention to the things that could happen. Somebody said, let Trump work. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the trap is set. It's up to it's up to Trump whether he's going to fall for it or not. Somebody said, so you just let people cross the border illegally? No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that at all. You're not listening. You guys are not listening at all. I'm saying that there's a trap being set here. And I think that it'll be crazy to watch us fall for it. How else would you do it? That's a great conversation to have. All right, so you do realize Joe Biden got a nuke. Yeah, so, but that's the thing, is like, we have that, the border stuff, and then we have like legitimate, a whole crisis happening. Can I tell you guys this? We have a whole crazy, like, we literally have nukes pointing at each other, which is just wild. But we also have, like, did you guys see that the United States, like, in Congress, that they said that aliens exist on the water? Like, nobody cares anymore. Like, people heard that there's aliens or unidentified objects flying into the water, or they're in the water, and people just said, yeah, we don't really care. We have bills to pay. Am I crazy? Like, yo, we have so much going on, and people are like, nah, you know what? We don't really care about these aliens. It's either you show us the aliens, or we just really don't care about what the hell you guys are talking about. Like, people are done. They're done. Like, people don't care. And I think that same thing is happening with missiles and nuclear weapons. Like, people really don't care, because they have to pay bills and they're stuck and they are just worried about their own lives. People are fed up. They don't even care about the aliens. Like, they're done, and they're on some like, yo, fuck it. But let's go. Let's continue with this.
Very real possibility that the world is inching closer to nuclear war at this hour. This is not hyperbole or fear-mongering. The fact is, it starts with a stark warning tonight from Russia. A few hours ago, sirens blaring all over Ukraine. Russian strikes coming and people preparing for massive strikes, air raid sirens sounding across Ukraine, including in the capital city. Massive Russian strikes coming. Russia is preparing massive strikes across the entire country. They've already struck, as Colonel McGregor told us yesterday, the western part of the country, knocking out all sorts of electricity grids and power supplies. So you want a cold winter? Because this is about to happen. And the United States doesn't give a rat's ass about the people of Ukraine at all, full stop. And these people are going to freeze to death this winter, thanks to Antony Blinken, thanks to Jake Sullivan, thanks to the demented President Biden, who's basically conceded power to the deep state in Washington, D.C. And State Department officials today are getting rid of the embassy, or closing the embassy, the United States Embassy, saying, quote, out of an abundance of caution, the embassy will be closed, and embassy employees are being instructed to shelter in place. That's going to work, sheltering in place, when these massive missiles start coming in, sheltering in place, you're going to be.
So let me ask you guys this. So if Russia now, because I think what happened was North Korea started sending troops into Russia, and we, the United States of America, said, oh, you guys want to do that? So what Biden did was he greenlit the ATCMS, I think, CMS missiles, atomic missiles, I think that's what it was. And so we gave them the green light for that. And what Russia did was they lowered their usage. So basically they're unrestricted now on using nuclear weapons in this war. Now, let me ask you guys this. If Vladimir Putin just starts nuking let's just play this scenario. Let me ask you guys this. But if Russia just nukes and just begins to just crash out and just Ukraine, they're backed into a war and Ukraine just gets decimated, what are we going to do? Unfortunately, during this time, and if this happens in the next 55 days, 58 days, I think, bro, we're going to be declared like we're going to be like, what? Let me guess. Congress is going to declare war. And then next thing you know, we're at war, and Joe Biden's the president, and Biden is the president until the war's over. Like, do we have a peaceful transfer of power then? That's just a scenario I was playing in my head, but I don't know, right? Because this is something that could 1000% happen. Now, I keep hearing that Putin is actually like, he can't wait for Trump to get in office so they can have peace talks. But how can we have peace talks as the United States of America if we're so overly committed to this country, to Ukraine? We're over committed to Ukraine. And if all of a sudden Kiev gets decimated and Russia is just piling on nuclear weapon after nuclear weapon, what are we going to do? This government and this administration is going to have to declare war on Russia? Well, not really. NATO is going to have to declare war on Russia, which is kind of what they did by approving the missiles, because we are a part of NATO. But we are really pushing that and that, bro. But do people care? It's the reason. Right? People have bills to pay, man. At this point, they just like, man, bring on. You know how many people I've seen say, bring on World War III, I don't care? They're just like, man, I really don't care, bro. At this point, just get it over with. And I think we're at that point where people just don't care. They're just like, man, F it. Whatever happens, happens. And that's a scary place to be in. There's a lot of people I know that have totally checked out. They're just like, man, I don't care. There's a lot of people like that, unfortunately. And I really don't like that, because that, man. Anyways, let's continue on.
Fine there inside the embassy. Meanwhile, Russia is preparing for nuclear war, folks. Like, they're not taking this lightly. We are in the United States. People are just still going to Target and living their day, which is fine. Like, live your life and work your jobs, but make demands of your government to stop this madness. So Russia has started mass producing mobile nuclear bunkers capable of housing dozens and protecting against shockwaves and radiation. So, and as we speak, Russia is planning to move citizens into underground nuclear bunkers that they've already built. Let that sink in for a second. Thanks to warmongers in D.C., the Russian government is taking active measures right now to safeguard its people against what it perceives to be an imminent threat of nuclear escalation. Protecting its people, Russia has now begun mass producing mobile nuclear bomb shelters that can protect against shockwaves and radiation from a nuclear blast. Take a look.
We got any of those?
Do we have any of those? I haven't seen any in the United States. Think about this for a second. Why would a global superpower with decades of military strategy and intelligence take such drastic action unless, of course, they believe this threat was real? They're not just doing this for what, shits and giggles?
I don't like that saying.
That's what my dad used to say from Baltimore. I'm going to do this for shits and giggles. But here's the part that should concern you even more. This isn't happening in a vacuum, folks. The warmongers in D.C. are playing a direct role in escalating tensions right now with reckless abandon. Overnight, the Biden administration doubled down on this plan on Ukraine using long-range weapons to attack deep inside of Russia. This morning, the Biden administration announced a new round of money being sent into Ukraine. Another $275 million for a new funded weapon.
Yeah. About the money, real quick. I did see something about a loan forgiveness for Ukraine. I'm telling you, I'm not making this stuff up, man. You could go read this stuff for yourself. I mean, there was a loan forgiveness for Ukraine that I think Congress was approving of, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right here. I saw it from Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter was basically, Douglas McGregor, excuse me, it's Colonel Douglas McGregor, friend of the show. He says, breaking, Biden administration makes move to forgive $4.7 billion worth of loans to Ukraine. Reuters was the one doing, I swear I'm not making this up. We could go look it up right now. There is a loan forgive. I'm sorry. This is not funny, but it sounds so crazy. I know. Ukraine loan forgiveness. I promise you. It's one thing to forgive like a United States citizen, but like to forgive a whole nother nation is just so crazy. Ukraine loan forgiveness. Let's see. Reuters. Right here. There we go. So Reuters safeguard approved. Biden administration moves to forgive $4.7 billion of loans to Ukraine. So this is not a fake story. Biden administration has moved to forgive $4.7 billion. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said Wednesday, as outgoing officials seek to do what they can before leaving office to bolster Ukraine in its war against Russia. A funding bill passed by the U.S. Congress in April included over $9.4 billion of forgivable loans for economic and budgetary support of Ukraine's government, half of which the president could cancel after November 15th. So that's why they moved on, because we are way past November 15th. So yeah, I swear that's not even a fake post that I posted. I do want to play this clip before I go. This was Scott Ritter speaking to George Napolitano about Ukraine and Russia. Take a listen.
Reach up to 190 miles inside of Russia.
Well, we already know what the risks are because this is the second time we've gone through this scenario. The first time, of course, was in September when Joe Biden was ready to issue such authorization on September 13th. On September 12th, the Russian President Vladimir Putin made it clear that if this were done, this would be interpreted by Russia as an act of war and would be responded in kind. On September 13th, the day Biden was going to sign off on this, he had a White House meeting with Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister. The Russian ambassador to the United Nations reiterated that if he signed that document, a declaration of war would have been signed. And this was backed up by the Russian ambassador to the United States, Anatoly Antonov, who spoke to several officials, former government officials, who called him at the behest of the Biden administration to find out were the Russians serious. Anatoly Antonov said not only were the Russians serious, but that when this went nuclear, notice what I said, when this went nuclear, the United States would be involved. So he said there will be a nuclear war and America will be part of it. It won't be limited to Europe. Biden wisely backed down. So we know exactly what's going to happen. The Russians have not changed their posture whatsoever. If Ukraine, let me make it as clear as possible. If Ukraine uses an ATACMS missile to strike a target inside Russia, that is in Kursk Oblast, Russia will say that that's an attack by the United States and will treat it accordingly. It will be a state of war between the United States and Russia. And
so the ATACMS, that's what it was. So the ATACMS have been approved by the United States of America, and here we are. Now we await, right? Because this is something that Scott Ritter has been talking about for a long time. Of course, Colonel Douglas McGregor as well. That's the line that Russia was drawing on the United States of America and NATO, right? That's where he drew the line. He says, you guys do this, I'm going to do this. Now we await. The difference here is that we waited to do this as a country right when Trump was elected. Trump's still not in office yet. His administration still not in office. Has to be approved by the Senate, has to be approved by Congress. His administration, that goes. So we still have a long way to go. We still have the rest of this month, December, the whole month of December, the holidays, New Year's, and then pretty much the whole month of January until Donald J. Trump gets into office. So once again, what is Russia going to do? Is Russia going to wait because we, the United States, have crossed this line, right, that they drew, even though Russia is approving of North Korea's military men to go fight with them? I guess that's what drew us to do that. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. But let's keep listening real quick. I think he said something here very important.
It will be a state of war between the United States and Russia. And from what I understand, I've been in contact with sources in Moscow. First of all, let me just say that the Russians aren't panicked. What the Russians are saying is that the decisions have already been made. Anybody who's looking for a convoy of vehicles running to the Kremlin to decide, the decision has been made. It is automatic. The moment the ATACMS is used, Russia will respond, and the response will be catastrophic for Ukraine and devastating for NATO and the United States. When I say catastrophic, Kiev will be destroyed. It won't be a nuclear weapon, but I've been told what the weapon probably will be, and it'll be a gigantic thermobaric bomb that will level downtown Kiev, killing everybody there. Russia will take Kiev off the map. And if I know this, the CIA knows this, Biden knows this, Zelensky knows this. The thing is, they think Russia's bluffing. They don't think Russia will do it. It's not a gamble I'm willing to take, because
look, I'm not sure if we should ever trust Scott Ritter, right? This guy's been accused of some crazy stuff, but for some reason, some of our real great sources always go back to this guy. And he's been saying this for a long time. I'm not sure if this is credible or not as far as what Russia's going to do, but is Russia actually going to do it? I think that's even the question that the whole United States of America is asking. And is Russia that gangster? Is Putin that gangster? Let me do a little poll here for you guys. Let me do a poll. Let's see what the audience says. We got over 6,300 folks. So let's get some votes in here. Let's get some votes in here real quick. Let's do a nice poll. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Is Russia bluffing? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll for the people. Yes and no. They are waiting for Trump to get in. All right, here we go. Let's start this poll. I just want to see what the audience is at. Let's see what the audience is at. Don't answer in the comments. Just do click the poll. The poll just hit the comments. I want to see something real quick. I want to see where we're at with this. So 78% so far say that Russia is not bluffing. So I want to let's put this poll up here real quick so that way you guys know what we're doing here. Put a poll here. We got over 500 votes so far. 20% say they are waiting for Trump to get in. 9%, almost 10% say that yes, they're bluffing. They're not going to do anything. They're just talking. Very interesting here. 71% of the audience thinks that they're not bluffing. 20% thinks that they're just waiting for Trump to get in so they can negotiate. Interesting. So once again, keep voting there. I want to go to the final result. This is just, once again, something that I'm playing because I think it's just very important. He says that Russia's not playing and they could just level off Ukraine and Ukraine gets decimated. Kiev gets decimated. And I think that that'll be the beginning of a uncharted territory.
They don't think Russia will do it. It's not a gamble I'm willing to take, because it's not just gambling away the lives, millions of lives in Kiev, but it's gambling away all of humanity. If the West is wrong and Russia's not bluffing, there will be a war, and that war will be nuclear, and we will all die.
Is the
Jesus Christ, Scott Ritter, he's not, I don't know. Only thing I know is the fact that we're not there. So we really haven't experienced what, like, Kiev is experiencing right now, right? What Ukraine is experiencing, what Israel is experiencing, we haven't experienced this stuff. So I think a lot of people in the United States of America really just don't get it. And maybe I don't get it. But look, maybe there's servicemen and women here who have served overseas, and they have maybe done infantry work and they understand, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. You know, this could be fear mongering and these people aren't going to do shit, right? Or we really just don't know how gangster Putin is. And this red line that he has drawn, is it real? Will he level off Ukraine? But that's not a gamble I'm willing to take. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Why would we want this gamble? I'm only speaking as somebody that's 27 years old. A lot of you guys have grandchildren you want to see grow up. A lot of you guys want to live your lives. Some of you guys are in your 40s. You got a long way to go. You don't want to. I just think it's so crazy. We've gotten to the point where we are talking about nuclear weapons, right? We're talking about nuclear weapons. We're talking about war in Israel. Like, the war in Israel is so connected to Ukraine. Here's how. Iran is 1000% an ally to the Russians. You have Israel being an ally to the United States of America. Iran wants to decimate Israel. Israel wants Iran to be broke forever. I mean, there is so much happening and so much connected to each other that it just constant conflicts that we just don't see on a day-to-day because we live in the United States of America. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know where the hell this is going. I'm just being as genuine as I can be about this. I really am. Because we are hearing talks about some crazy shit, but I just don't think that the United States of America understands. Somebody said Trump should take his time. Right. I agree with that, but they're not giving him time. It doesn't seem like they're giving Trump any time. Right? It doesn't seem like they're trying to give Trump any time. It seems like, once you get into office, you got to start making decisions right away. There is no time to think. Any bad decision could really just go bad, full blown. You know what I mean? One-third of the world will die according to the Bible. Yeah, I know that. That is a fact. From plague, from natural disasters, and from war. So nothing new. Nothing that I'm afraid of, because you kind of know that this was coming at some point. So I love that you brought the Bible into it. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people aren't religious, which I respect and I understand. But it's just more like, how can it happen? The way I envision this is Trump says yes to the military, people hit the streets, chaos breaks out in the United States of America. Chaos is already broken out in the Middle East. Chaos keeps, you know what I'm saying? Chaos everywhere. We just haven't seen it at home. And I'm praying to God that we don't ever in our lifetime experience chaos at home. What does chaos at home look like? I don't want to know. Really don't want to know. I don't want to know what chaos at home looks like. I know what political chaos looks like. I know what protest looks like. I know what, shootings look like. That type of chaos we have here, but not like war. I don't think we've seen that before. I don't think I ever want to see that. There are some Americans experiencing the real chaos that other countries are experiencing. Parts of America, like the border states, are experiencing something crazy right now. Influx of people that are not vetted, right? But once again, we've experienced chaos 9/11. So that's just all I'm saying, guys. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just saying, shit is getting kind of serious. Seems like it is. And it seems like a lot of people are so desensitized to hearing about it that they just don't care. And I think that that's crazy. People are desensitized to so many things now that they're just on some like, man, if it is what it is, then we'll just let it be. And I think that's the craziest mentality to have, because if we could avoid it, we should. But it's somebody said it's all a buildup. It's literally, that's what it feels like. It feels like a buildup. It feels like it's all building up for this specific moment. Bow! Next thing you know, all hell breaks loose, and we just lost lives, and things are happening. People are looking for places to go. You know what I mean? Like, we pray that that never happens. But yeah, Russia declares war on NATO. We are in a full-blown scaled world war. We haven't been in one of those in a very long time. And this time is different because we have weapons that we didn't have back in those days. So, I don't know. We just pray for the best, prepare for the worst. We have a caravan full of people coming into the United States. We have Trump taking office. We have so many things happening before he takes office. It's like they're literally sabotaging it. It feels like they're doing it on purpose. Now, I know that sounds crazy to say, but that just feels like it. I hope that's not the case. I pray that's not the case. But we got to keep reporting on this stuff. Unfortunately, I know sometimes it seems very negative. Look, we had a happy week. After Trump got elected, I mean, it was so amazing. But it's like now, like, evil is starting to work again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we kind of forgot, hey, you know, there are literal missiles flying in and out of Israel. There are literal missiles flying, people killing each other all over the place. War is literally happening in parts of the world. That's not fake. That's real. Somebody said, no shit. I'm just saying, sometimes people need to be reminded, bro. Somebody said, ride the subway to see chaos. You're right about that. But that's not the same type of chaos that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? We have chaos in the United States of America, but we don't have war. Like maybe some understand what I'm saying, maybe don't. But we do have chaos that we got to take care of. That's why we elected President Trump. That's why 77 million people voted for Donald J. Trump, because they saw chaos, they want to stop it, and they saw what's going on in the streets. People are dying. People are dying of overdose. People are being shot. Violence all over the place. That stuff is real. That stuff is happening. But we're talking about the big stuff, the stuff we can't come back from. Love you guys. We'll be back. Maybe some better news tomorrow morning. Maybe somebody said Mexico is going to get tariffs like no tomorrow. Yeah. The fact that Mexico wouldn't stop this, I don't know. Like I said, I don't get it. It's crazy. Look, it was a big week with good news, but sometimes I got to report stuff like this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to report everything. We've gotten a lot of good news within the last week. It's just some things that are happening that are kind of like, they're not good. And we got to report them, unfortunately, because we got to stay up to date with all of these things. Not be surprised by stuff that's happening. Once again, you know, if you're going to NBC and ABC for your news, good luck hearing about stuff like this. I really mean it. All right, guys. I love you guys. Pray for the best. Prepare for the worst. Always.